Alright, it doesn't say you did.
Okay, maybe I got the tag wrong then. I copied and pasted it from Fiverr. Is there space in Celestic Rose?
I don't think so.
Alright, did
Let
you
me
get
look.
did you get a no?
No, it doesn't look like it.
Okay, just I guess retype it in Discord and we'll see if that works. Or actually here,
Alright.
I'll send you mine. Here.
Alright, got it.
Alright, there we go. Alright, so you can just probably just hop right into a game and then I'll spectate you when you do.
Okay, let me, do you know how to turn off the push to talk on Overwatch? Because I have it set to the same as Discord.
You go to options, sound, and then it'll be voice chat mode. It'll say push to talk, and then you just press this to the side.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So have you been doing the Fiverr thing for long?
I took a break, but I've had a couple months of experience in it. I took like a 2-month break from it, but before that I had like 4 months, and then now I'm maybe like a month back into it.
Awesome, and you're liking it?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's a decent way to make some money off of teaching people how to play the game I like.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Alright, I'm in a game.
I am now spectating.
Select your hero.
Yeah, and unless you have any questions, I will be quiet for like the first minute or two while I'm just kind of evaluating something to go over, getting a handle on your playstyle.
Alright. I will say this is an awful map for me to start on because I hate this map.
Okay. Well, Sky is
Only
not that
through
bad for me,
conflict do we evolve.
but everyone has their preferences.
I shouldn't overstay my welcome.
What heroes do you usually play?
Heroes I usually play right now, I just swapped roles from flex support to flex DPS. But I have my most played hero in the game is Mercy with 180 hours or something like that.
Awesome.
Back during Mercy meta. But yeah, I have right now I just hit like 4,300 on DPS. So
Dang, good job.
I'm basically play anything or teach anything.
4, 3, 2.
You would not want to see my DPS.
Commencing. Capture objective A.
I've got you. Where does it hurt?
Observe the barrier. See some tweaks. Barrier is unstable.
Ich kümmere mich um dich.
As though I needed
Where does it hurt? I'm with you. Healing stream engaged.
Barrier. Unstick my barrier.
Powered up. Where does it hurt?
The barrier.
Alright, so right now one thing that I'm noticing is you're kind of tunnel visioning on the person that you're healing, or like kind of like one group on your
Immer
crosshair,
unterbricht mich
where
jemand
really
bei
what you
der
want to be
Arbeit.
doing is taking in as much information as possible and looking
Adamantine is
around.
mine.
Try to keep sight lines and looking at like all of your teams so you can know, so that you know
Let's get you back out
who needs
there.
help, who needs healing,
Your support has
who you
arrived.
can res, that type of thing. But when you're only looking in one area and at one person, then you're gonna be missing a lot of people who need help.
Mercy im Bereitschaftsdienst.
Alright, that makes sense.
It also will allow you to be more aware of flanking DPS if you're looking around and keeping your ears open.
Utilisation siege for mine. Back with me.
Where does it hurt? Heroes never die. For a price. Let me get
So with Valk, how Valk works is since it does not out heal like other ultimates in the game, like you can't out heal a Genji Blade, for example, or like a Fire Barrage with Valk. Valk is not a defensible. You should not use it like a defensible. So you really want to be using Valk aggressively. Most of the time, you're going to be wanting to use the damage boost in Valk because it's more valuable than the healing. Unless people are critical, you should be damage boosting with Valk, and you should be using it to push in instead of fall back.
Okay.
60 seconds.
Also, just keep an eye on like when people are full, you don't want to be still healing them. Either look for a different person to heal or swap the damage boost. There's a couple times where like you'll be pocketing a tank and then they'll get full and then you just stay on them. So just keep watching your little bar in the middle.
Gotcha.
Healing stream
I am
engaged.
taking no objective. Join me.
Well done.
30
Damage
seconds
amplified.
remaining.
We do not have time to waste. Attack now.
Like so far your movement's fine. It's just a few things with like kind of priority and when the damage boost, when the heal.
Attack on
I'm
objective
with
B.
you. Schaden verstärkt.
Utilisation siege for mine.
See, like that situation, for example, when your McCree is full health, you want to be looking to heal your Ana or your Zarya there, who are both critical.
Okay.
This is not your
And then that way you're kind of just like
Heroes never die.
being around your team more and helping your team stay alive when you're looking around for people to help. Because especially like when you're a character like Mercy, you can do that more often than an Ana can, because it's a lot harder for Ana to swap healing targets than it is for Mercy too.
Where does it hurt?
Nano boost is charging.
Damage amplified.
Thank you kindly.
I'm taking care of you.
Get in there, and I'll reach you.
My ultimate is ready.
Damage boost engaged.
The white tiger has
Sterben.
What is that melody?
I'm taking care of
Mysteries of the universe.
Meteor
you.
strike.
You should be at peak performance level.
Using the chaos.
Where does it hurt?
Vide Banzuyo!
I could use some assistance.
Okay, did not mean to GA backwards there.
Yeah, alright, so there wasn't too much of a problem. In general right now,
60
Back in the
seconds
fight.
remaining.
Sigma.
we just want
Yes, has
to, a
arrived.
general thing just to go over is, we always want to be pressing tab. I can't see if you are pressing tab because I'm spectating, but tab is very important so that you're gathering
Let me get you
information.
patched up.
What they're running on the enemy team is going to dictate where you position yourself. So like for an example, if they're running snipers, you're going to be
Heroes
wanting to
never
hug
die.
walls much more than you are going to want to and be around corners. But since they're running flankers and dive characters, you're going to be wanting to play next to your team and be hearing and listening for them to be coming and flanking. Just always have your eyes and ears open.
It's just so simple.
Attack the objective.
The white tiger becomes me.
Damages engaged. Mercy in Bereitschaftsstate.
Rest in peace. Step right up.
Where does it hurt? Damage amplified. Sterben nicht.
Find their weakness and claim the objective.
Meteor
I'm
strike.
taking care of you. Damage increased.
What is that melody?
Self-medicated.
Power.
Healing stream engaged. Heroes never die. For a price.
The white tiger becomes me.
Schaden verstärkt.
Barrier in place.
You've got this. Where does it hurt?
My will.
Hold up.
I'm here.
So, one thing I'm noticing
Find their
that
weakness and claim the objective.
is kind of a detriment to your gameplay is
Victory.
you do not go for reses very often, and
Enemy.
even when reses are very readily available, when there's no enemies around, when there's a person just kind of sitting out in the open, those are perfect opportunities to go for reses. Especially if you have Valk up. When you have Valk, you should be looking for reses to go to because you have much more mobility and can kind of dodge out shots. When you have Valk up and you can hover around in the air and go in very fast. So Valk gives you much more mobility that allows you to get to and go in and get reses much faster. So when you're Valking, you should be looking for reses, and then also especially when they're staggering in, go for the res because they have maybe one person on point and they can't focus on killing you because you have your whole team killing them. So your team's just basically covering for you while you can get the res off. And getting that one extra person up is going to be very important for keeping that point contested and killing them as fast as possible.
Makes sense. I'm in queue again.
Okay.
Alright, I'm in a game.
Okay.
Now arriving at Lijiang Tower.
You're very helpful, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It's my job. Just wondering, have you... This is all up to personal preference, but have you fidgeted around at all with Mercy's settings? She has one of the most customizable characters when it comes to settings.
Only a little bit with her GA and her... Oh yeah, her GA sensitivity, and it's not locked on, so whenever I'm healing somebody, it doesn't fly to them.
Alright, have you done sensitivity at all as in beam or guardian angel sensitivity, like crosshair, having it closer to crosshair or having it closer to whichever person? Sorry, that's a bad description. It's hard to describe when you don't see it.
I think only the guardian angel.
Okay, beam sensitivity is also really important. If people are crowded up next to each other, that can make it the difference when you're trying to pick out a person in the middle of a crowd.
Get into position.
Now ready.
Okay, so this sounds bad, but right click much more. You're out of sorry, I'm trying to say energy. You're out of heals a lot right now. And that's mainly because you're not getting enough damage in to keep that up. So right click as much as you can whenever your people aren't low or need healing. Be right clicking. Another tiny little kind of trick is if you're very low on healing, you can spam right click and then that'll actually charge it faster.
Surrender to my will.
It's a bug that they have right now, but like the first second is more healing than the rest. So just spam right click and then it'll charge your bar up faster.
Okay.
Yeah, and then whenever, unless someone's critical, you should usually be using right click for damage because that'll charge your ult up faster, which will let you have more damage and healing. The other time you should be using it for healing is when you know that you don't have any resource left.
I found
Such a flawed creation.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, when you finally get down to like the grind, you should be getting like 3 coalescences per round.
I will unmake you.
Or I guess depending on like what map it is, but
Allow me to repair the
Step
damage.
right.
like on here you should maybe be getting 2 to 3 per round depending on how long it goes.
Alright.
It's also one of those ultimates that you can. It's similar to Mercy Valk, but it's actually a little less important. So you can just throw it out every fight you get it.
Surrender to my will. Your contributions to the curtains of science are to be commended. Repairing the damage. I'm on fire. You'd be wise to stay out of my sight.
Hey, Karan.
First round.
I cast this forth. Hello there.
Score 1-0.
Well, it's high noon somewhere in the world.
Check this out.
Yeah, just one other tiny thing. It's kind of nitpicky. It's not real important. But when you're coalescing, that's hard to say. But when you're doing that, try to be lining up as many people as possible at once. So like your teammates and enemies, and that way you're healing and damaging at the same time as many people as possible. So kind of position yourself right so that you're getting as much value out of it as possible.
Alright.
So like even if you're just standing behind your main tank when you do it, that's just a simple way to be healing someone while damaging.
Group up here.
My will made real. Destruction.
The objective is now active.
I require assistance. This will restore you. Restoring you. Your power is mine. Get into position. Your strength fades. Our enemies return. This will heal you.
So one other thing that I'm noticing that you don't typically do, but if you didn't know this, Moira's healing actually has like kind of like an Ana-ish effect where it has like a heal over time. So if you just tap it on someone, and it'll heal them for a certain amount of health over time. So if you
I found
instead of holding it down, just tap people,
I'm restoring.
unless they're critical, of course. But if you tap people just in the middle of a fight, then you can actually pre-heal them, and you're also conserving your resources.
Okay, that makes sense.
So instead of just holding it down on them, you just tap them again, tap them again.
Surrender to my will.
So like right there, I saw that you tried to get into position. So that's what you want to be doing. Just like if you see that you're only on one person, rotate around the side and make sure that you're hitting 3 people at once.
I will on You grow weak.
Okay, so fades should typically be to safety if you're trying to get away from DPS, not into them. So
Alright.
go use it to get
I must
over to
reflect
your
upon
team
this.
rather than like try to
This
juke
will
him out
heal you.
would be much more beneficial. So you probably wouldn't have died there if you're using the fade to get back to your Orisa. One other thing is just like for self-improvement is like watch your deaths. Just pay it like, okay, I died, or okay, I made a mistake. That person didn't die. What could I have done better? Should I have stood in a different spot? Should I have been closer to my team? Should I have healed my teammate differently? Like, what did I do wrong? And then that way you just self-improve without like, so that way you don't have to like keep paying me money. Self-coaching.
Okay.
Surrender to my will.
I'm on fire.
Shurei Mahol.
So when you're calling, you can actually go for the fire with it very easily because you have really long range with it, and it she can't really drop out of the sky very easily. She can't duck behind walls as easily as other people can. So you can just kind of melt her while she's up there.
This will improve your condition.
Okay, that was a nice fade.
Repairing the damage.
Incoming! Holy, take
I'm on fire. All evidence supports this claim.
Victory.
Hey.
Okay, awesome. I'll queue up again.
Play of the game.
Okay. So while we're queuing, you have like any questions about anything we've gone over so far?
I don't think so, no. I definitely noticed myself tunnel visioning.
Yeah. Awareness is a very simple concept, but very hard to pull off. The simple concept is just you listen and keep your eyes open, but of course that's not everyone knows how to do that. So you just keep your ears open, listen for footsteps, listen for ultimates going off, and then keep your eyes open, watch your health, watch your, like, it should be like a kind of like a internal timer. Like every couple of seconds I'm glancing at my health, I'm glancing at my ult charge, I'm glancing at my abilities, I'm glancing at the kill feed. I'm glancing to the corners of my screen. We don't want to be staring at our crosshair the whole time. Like kind of look around with our mouse. We don't have to always be looking straight ahead. Do a quick 360. Awareness is something that just kind of comes with, it's common sense, but not everyone has common sense. It's just kind of something you have to develop.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm in the game again, by the way.
Okay, I'm
Traveling
spectating.
to Route
Oh, you got me.
66.
There's nothing I haven't seen before.
I think you'll have a lot to say about my Lana.
Okay, sounds good.
Attack commences in 30 seconds.
Imagine the worst possible outcome. Now, avoid that.
Alright, before we get into this, what's your
Emily.
nano boost sensitivity at?
Let me look. Oh geez, it's at 100. Hold on.
Yeah, I would not. I have mine at 60, but that's only because Nanoblading and Genshis can be difficult when you're multitasking. But definitely never have it 100 because that's gonna cause you to get so many boostios.
Oh, I know. That's happened so many times.
Yeah, so just like when you're nanoing people, if you're trying to keep it on one person, one, look around to make sure that there's no one near you, and then two, just lower that sensitivity. And those are the two easiest ways to avoid nanoing the wrong person. Make sure you're not standing next to anyone. That's the same thing with like nades. If you're going for a nade and you're trying to hit specific people, make sure you're not standing next to someone
Watching your back.
because they might jump in front of it.
I think our Ryan is AFK.
Unfortunate.
I will keep you here.
Regen up.
Healing enhanced. We need to keep the payload moving. You're going to be okay.
Get in here.
Alright, I have a few things I'm thinking about right now, but what we're gonna do, because it's a lot of visual things, after this game I'm gonna go into training range and then stream it real quick in Discord so that you can see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Get in here. Meteor strike. Barrier. It's fracturing. Regen up.
I require healing.
I'm moving the payload. Fall with me.
Allow me to repair the damage.
This will help.
Let them out.
Move up at my position. It's just a scratch. You'll be fine.
How about a little extra?
Thank you. Healed up.
Get inside.
Go.
Observe the battle.
Alright, so right now, the one thing that I can mention in game, I guess, is positioning. And positioning is going to be different for each hero, but there's general positioning rules that will apply to most characters in the game. I can send you a guide on it
Step right.
that I've been basically sending to everyone that I've been coaching so far, because it's just, it's people at lower ranks don't really understand how good positioning works, and this just kind of very explains it very well. But also just go over, I guess I'll verbally say it, and then you can go over the guide later if you want to. It's pretty long, so you don't have to go over the whole thing, but the first 10 minutes are the most important and basic parts of it.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So the basic tool that he was talking about of how good positioning works is, if right now every single person on the enemy team was a high nooning McCree, would you live? Are you standing close enough to cover? Are you? And if that answer is no, then you're in a bad position. Are you standing on the open, bad position? You should always be next to walls, always be next to cover, because otherwise you get caught off guard and you can't escape fast enough.
Okay, that makes sense. I like that.
And then I'll just link you the full guide. But yeah, like I said, the first 10 minutes are really like gonna be the most important in it, and then the rest is kind of going over it and repeating it in more detail.
I will keep you.
This guy is a contenders coach, so he's does this professionally, even more so than me.
The experiment is ready. Time for a
30
graffiti punch.
seconds remaining. The payload has
We're running
reached
out of
the
time.
checkpoint.
Everyone, attack.
Activating the barrier.
This will help.
I require assistance.
Barrier.
Go. I'll keep you healed.
barrier won't hold together. Enemies now over. What is
You're
that
powered up.
melody?
Get in there. I will keep you healed.
It's high noon.
Surrender to my will.
Alright, so I'm gonna also send you a nano priority list because I made this and I like sending it to people. But basically, whenever you're in a game of Asana, you want to be looking at your own team comp, press tab, and see, okay, who am I gonna be nanoing? Because there's some people who are better nano targets than others, and that's important to know. So right now, like, full charge Zarya is probably gonna be your best nano target. Otherwise, if she's not full charge, Doomfist is gonna be your second best. And if your Doomfist isn't in a good spot, or he's dead, then Sigma would be.
This is going to hurt. I'm on fire.
Where did I put this?
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Know that.
Coming in.
Is my will.
Hey there.
Name. Directive.
Here it is.
Payload's moving out.
Alright, there it is. I just sent it to your Discord. But you don't have to look at it until after the game.
Okay.
This will only hurt for a minute. Take your medicine. The payload is secure. Move it out. The pain is coming.
Enemy contact.
You're covered.
Hey,
Barrier won't hold together.
This is my will.
Activating the barrier.
Walk it off.
Barrier destroyed.
Sorry if I'm not saying a lot. I think right now do you want to like leave this game
I'm not
real
ready to
fast
hang
just
it
because
up.
the things that
You're
I'm
powered up.
kind of
Get in
noticing
there.
are the things that I need to go over in the training range just because
Sure,
they're
yeah.
really big. Alright, so I'm gonna start screen sharing.
Okay, I can see it.
Alright, so
Never stop fighting for what you believe.
we're gonna
in.
go over a few different things, but the first thing we're gonna talk about is when to use each type of scoping. So there's unscoping, there's scoping, and then there's quick scoping. So quick scoping is a useful tool that I haven't seen you use. So that's something that I'm gonna discuss in a little bit. But right now, first we're gonna do when to unscope and when to scope. This is gonna depend on which hero you're shooting at. So if you're shooting at a squishy target or basically just any non-tank, you're gonna be unscoping at around like 10 meters. So if the player is like within this range right now, then that's an unscope. Anything farther than that on a squishy should be a scope, because
Okay.
that's just gonna be more beneficial for how small they are. So you're getting the zoom in. Now 15 meters is like around tanks. So if a tank is at that range, then or closer, that's gonna be an unscope on a tank. Anything farther should be a scope on a tank. Now we're gonna go over when to quick scope and quick scoping, some benefits. We're gonna go over quick scoping real quick. So scoping, obviously, when you're scoping, you have some benefits and some weaknesses. The first weakness is you're zoomed in, so you don't have the visibility that unscoping gives, and you're also a lot slower. But you also are closer to the target and can hit shots easier, and your sensitivity gets slowed down. So the benefits of quick scoping are that you keep mobility and visibility while still getting this the sensitivity negation for longer like range shots, as well as the quick zoom in. So you're getting the like 1 second of a lower sensitivity, which means that the shot's gonna be easier to pull off. And then it's also gonna be hit scan rather than projectile, so it's gonna be a lot harder to hit this shot than it is to hit this shot, just because it's not very easy to hit long range unscoped. Besides the fact that these are bots. So when are you gonna want to use this? Because it's also much slower since you have to unscope each time, so it's not very fast. You're gonna be wanting to use this when you're under pressure. So when there's like flankers on top of you, when there's when you're in the middle of a fight and like you can't sit down and scope, because if you're sitting and scoping, you're a very easy head hit shot. Like they can just walk up to you and kill you because you're not moving very fast. So you want a quick scope when you're under pressure. I feel like I had something else I wanted to go over, but I can't remember at the moment. I think I was gonna go over kind of crosshair positioning or crosshair placement. With your crosshair, what you want to be doing is always keeping it on a spot that's going to be valuable. If you're letting your crosshair wander and kind of like looking up or around, that means that like if I'm looking over here and this bot needs to be killed, I have to like all of a sudden flick down, and it's gonna be much harder than if I was already like kind of like looking in his general area. It's like decently hard to explain, but you really don't want to be letting your crosshair wander. There's a difference between letting your crosshair wander and like kind of like looking around and like looking up on the high ground to see if there's flankers. And then as soon as we come back, we want to be looking at people. We don't want to be looking in a general group of people. We want to be looking at specific people who need to be damaged. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. With your sleeps so far, I don't know if you got any sleeps last game, but your sleeps and your nades are like your most important tool in your toolkit. You can start queuing for a match, by the way. I'm just gonna go over this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, well, I meant to stop streaming. Alright, so yeah, your nade and your sleep are your most carry potential abilities. If you get a 6-man nade, that's a fight win, and you can carry off of that. If you land a sleep on a Genji blade, you can stop them from wiping your team, and you can carry through that. So those are going to be your very two best abilities, and you need to make sure that you're hitting those. So with your nade, unless someone on your team is critical, or you're using it as healing after a fight's over, don't use your nade for healing your team. Use it to try to get purples, because that offensive way is going to be much more beneficial in fight wins, because you get much more value out of it. Second thing is make sure that you're throwing it at feet. If you're throwing it at bodies, then it might not spread to everyone, because they might kind of body block it and not let it hit the people behind them. This is especially important in like grabs. Like if they're all grabbed, if you hit the tank in the front, it might stop it from hitting everyone else in the back. So make sure you're throwing it at feet.
Okay.
With your
Never thought about that before, yeah.
Yeah, with sleep is very difficult. Sleep was never my best thing. That was like one of my reasons why I was just kind of like, I never felt like support was really my thing, is why I swapping over to flex DPS. But with sleep, it's just really about keeping your cool, keep calm, don't panic, or don't rush it. If a tank's right in your face, they have a humongous hitbox, take your time and land it. Don't kind of flick it and don't panic.
Yeah, I think that's my main issue.
Especially like another example would be like a Genji jumping above you with a blade. This is different than like if he's dashing at you, because of course that's really hard to hit. I even struggle with that. But if a Genji's just running at you in a straight line, don't panic and flick it. Flick it at him, line it up. You're not an owl. You don't have to panic. You're not professionally playing the game. You're not getting paid for it. So have some fun. You're gonna be hitting more shots if you're keeping calm.
I'm taking care of you. Damage boost engaged.
I will not waste this opportunity.
Healing stream engaged.
What a curious feeling.
Enemy
Feeling better? You should be at peak performance levels.
That's how you do it.
Observe the barrier.
I've got you.
Behind the barrier.
Let me get you patched up. Damage increase.
What did I hear about?
Barrier activated.
You needed a doctor? Damage boost engaged. Healing stream engaged.
Please move behind the barrier.
Powered up. Taking care of you, Brigitte.
My ultimate is charging.
Step right up.
Get them off me.
Meteor strike.
Leave the wicked.
Behind the barrier.
You needed a doctor?
Feel like
It was only to be expected.
Alright, right there.
Objective lost.
Really only thing I'd say was maybe stay with your fire more. Your team didn't need healing, so if you stayed with your fire, you could have kept her alive, and you wouldn't have been down one in that situation.
Okay. Oh shit.
That's another like thing we kind of think about with like the bad positioning. Like if
Good as new.
that was high nooning McCree, we'd be dead because we were standing out in the open. We won't just like press tab and see like, okay, they have a widow, so we can't be standing out in the open. They have a Doomfist, so we have to, and a Wrecking Ball, so we have to be watching out for them to be on the flank and punching into me. Try to stay up in the air as much as possible so that the Doomfist can't punch you. But then you also need to be hiding behind walls so that the Widow can't see you.
Get them off. Heroes never die. For a price.
Observe the barrier.
Remember, you really don't want to be healing when someone's full, as well as the fact that damage use is going to be much better for a Valk.
Okay.
Understood.
Protect the objective. Your support has arrived.
Team up for special attack.
I require medical attention.
Step right up.
See, that was good. You're using the pillar to block line of sight with the Widowmaker. That's what you want to be looking to do. You always have something in the way between you two.
Damage boost.
Okay.
That was just a really good example of how you want to be playing.
Let me get you patched up.
Just make that more consistent and do it more often.
Help me. Oh.
Thank you kindly.
Damage amplified.
Powered up. Enemy contact.
For your own safety, get behind the barrier.
We make a great team.
Keep holding. I'm under attack.
Get over here and
Let's get you back out there. Oh, I've got you. We still need you. You should be at peak
Thank you
performance
kindly.
levels.
Flux is upon us.
Get behind me.
I've got you, Brigitte.
barrier in place.
Tactical
Heroes
visor
never die.
Meteor strike.
Listen to me. My barrier's shot.
What is that melody?
This is not the end. right beside you.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Step right
Damage
up.
increase. Get them off me.
Alright, we do not need to be point contest as Mercy. Unless we're the last ones alive, really should not be on point, because if you die,
Damage.
then you're just giving them a free kill, and they might not, like, even though you don't have a tank on the point, your tank might be right off a point and about to touch point, and you just died for nothing. So, don't try to stall point if you don't need to.
I'm here.
Okay, that makes sense.
Give up ticks if you need to. Like, you don't need to stop them from getting a tick if it costs you your life, because that means you're just gonna lose the whole round instead of just losing a tick. That's a common misconception at lower ranks is, okay, we can't give them a tick, we can't give them a tick. You can definitely give them ticks.
Anyone need some cold?
As long as you're not giving them the third one, it's fine to give them the first two.
I'm taking care of you. Ich bin down.
Again, healing a full HP target for like 20 seconds isn't something that you want to be doing.
30 seconds.
Heilstrahl aktiviert.
Our enemy's chances are successful.
Under attack.
I am ready.
My ultimate is almost ready.
Unsafe position. I recommend moving behind.
Visor activated.
10 seconds remaining.
Continue upon this trajectory.
Ah,
The
my
less
ultimate is
satisfying
almost
outcome
ready.
is a certainty.
Barriers unstable.
Overtime.
Understood.
Did someone call it?
Alright, so again, think about positioning. Jumping into a widow really isn't the smartest thing to do. There's a shield right on the right next to you. We have Valve, just like use one or the other. You have to be very careful about where you position. Mercy, her character is about like 70% positioning and not making mistakes. If you're making mistakes on Mercy, you're not playing her right. She doesn't require skill shots. She doesn't like require aim. It's just about not dying and not making mistakes. So learn positioning. Don't stand in the wrong spot. One other thing is, next time you go for a res, have you tried doing a super jump into a res?
Triple kill.
Yeah, I have before.
Yeah, that's a decently easy way to get easier like reses off, especially like against the Widow. Might not be the smartest idea, but it can be a good way to surprise them and catch them off guard. So there in that scenario, it probably wasn't the best idea because of the sniper, but in general, that you want to be doing that like once in a while, not all the time, because then they'll predict it, and like be looking up for it. But
Okay, got it.
in certain scenarios, it's going to be beneficial. If like, let's say for example, they're swarming around the body, but you need to get the res off, you can jump up ahead. If they have hit scan, you probably don't want to be doing it. If they're like running a Doomfist or a Reaper, or like close range characters, then of course like go for it, because they can't reach you up in the sky. If they're running hit scan, don't do it. This again, like that'll depend on like what team comp they're running.
Okay, and I noticed sometimes when people res as Mercy, they like spin their mouse around. Does that actually like help?
Ready for combat operations.
I don't think it does very much. I think that's like more for flair.
Okay.
I think if you're, I think the purpose behind that might be to just like, because your front head hitbox is easier to hit than your back head hitbox. So by spinning, you're making it harder for them to hit your front head hitbox, but you can also accomplish the same thing by just turning away from the person and maybe doing like a slight spin. So like the full-on like Lucio level or Diva level, like just kind of spinning your head off isn't necessary. If you understand what I'm saying, you can really just do the same. You can accomplish the same thing by just turning around.
Watching your back.
Okay, that makes sense.
Nim. Healing enough.
I recommend moving behind my body.
Walk it off.
For your safety, please move behind the barrier.
I've seen worse. You're going to live.
Barrier activated.
Marked by the dragon.
Not good. Please move behind the barrier.
So pre-aiming doesn't always need to be someone walking around the corner. You can also pre-aim by looking at someone who you know is going to be taking damage. If someone's being shot at and there's full health, still look at them because that means they're probably going to be taking damage soon. So like that Hanzo right there, like he was out in the open, he was dueling people. Be looking at him so that when he does take damage, you can heal him.
Okay.
This will help. Go. I'll keep you healed.
Warning. Engaging.
Heal up.
My ultimate is ready.
You're going to be okay.
Fire at will.
The iris.
That's you! Huge!
I'm on fire.
Like that was really big. Only critique with that is just kind of be faster with that. Maybe like kind of an excuse would be like, okay, well I didn't know it was coming. Well, to know it's coming, just press tab and you can see, okay, we have a grab, so I need to be looking for nade next fight. Tab is very important, especially in Ana. So right now, like we have nano, we should be pressing tab and seeing. Okay, who do you want in nano? Tab should be pressed really after every fight to gain information. After every fight, you press tab. We have Death Blossom. That's probably what we want to combo it with.
Scratch, you'll be fine. You're powered up. Get in there. Lights out.
But of course your Reaper's bad, so it didn't work out. Oh, but he did it! He just waited until after the nano. Yeah, after the nano ran out.
Escort the payload.
Securing the payload.
I think he was chasing after someone who juked him out. So
Behind my barrier.
okay, so in the video that I sent you, he goes over what's called like there's natural sorry, I'm trying to think of the word. There's natural cover, and then there's projected cover or like player made cover, which will be like shields or May walls or whatever. And the reason why you don't want to be standing behind walls shields all the time is because it could go down any second. It could break, they could take it down. So you want to be using both that and also natural cover. So for example, there when you're on cart, what you can do is stand behind cart, and then that way you have natural cover along with the shield.
Okay.
And really that's like anytime you're using a shield, you want to be watching for it to break any second. Like you always want to be next to wall even when behind shield. You always want to be ready for it to go down.
Take your medicine. This will help.
I recommend moving behind my barrier.
Okay, so we're coming up on nano again. What do we want in nano? Our Reaper doesn't have his ult. Yeah, next we want to check the Zarya. Is Zarya full charge? She looks...
No.
She has her...
A little bit.
A little bit. Looks like maybe like 60 or something. We probably keep an eye on her. If she gets any higher, then we can nano her.
This will only hurt for a minute. I'm on fire.
Alright, so Zarya just died, so she's not gonna have full charge. The next best would probably be Reaper here because has a really good base and ult. Meaning like he has a really good primary combo as well as when you combo ult with it.
Oh, that was scary.
I'll rest when the fighting is done. Hello there. Take your medicine.
Thanks.
Healing boost.
Nano boost is ready to deploy.
Behind the barrier. For your safety, please move behind the
This will help.
See, that's what I'm talking about when we're talking about
I'm on the payload and move
like player base shields like that.
Just a scratch.
You were behind the shield and then all of a sudden it disappeared, and that could have very easily killed you. You guys
Yeah,
relied too much
okay.
on it.
Oh yeah. That's not right.
recommend moving behind the
Vessel
barrier.
delivery.
on the way.
You're covered. Nelly,
Step rider.
you're powered up. Get in there.
This gunslinger's loaded.
Down. That هيكون مؤلم.
Into the iris.
Now. Needing the payload. Move it out.
60 seconds remaining.
My hairdresser should be in there.
Remember to be looking around. Right now, I'm noticing that you're really far back and you're not putting yourself in positions to heal your teammates. So like when the Zarya pushes forward, you want to be pushing up a little bit so that you can actually see her.
Okay.
As well as like, even if a fight's not going on around you, you need to be still taking in information. Look around, listen, watch for flankers, look at, does anyone on my team need healing? So like, your Zarya shouldn't be sitting there for like 10 seconds before you heal her. Press tab, like, should never be a lull in gameplay. You should always be using every second to your advantage. Even if nothing's going on in the fight, or if fight just ended, reposition, look at your ults, press tab.
Move it out.
Enemy contact.
Go to sleep.
I recommend moving behind my barrier.
Keep it moving. Crafter surgeon's ready.
Did you hear that?
Please move behind.
Healing enhanced.
Fire at will.
Alright, you still killed them, but remember, especially like when we know Zarya has grab, you want to be saving nade for it.
You're going to be okay.
For your own safety, get
Heal up.
team up for special attack.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
The payload is approaching its destination.
Огонь по готовности.
Behind the barrier. 60 seconds.
وليهم قوتك. You're covered.
Time to unleash.
You are advised to move behind.
Damn.
That's a nice sleep.
That's the spit.
Barrier activated.
Someone get that payload moving.
Remember the high noon rule? We're very exposed right now. If a Widowmaker or McCree starts to shoot at us, then we can't duck behind any cover if we're out in the open like that.
Heal up.
Okay.
We do not have
And of
time
course
to
they
waste.
might not,
Attack
because
now.
at lower ranks people don't punish things as much. But you always want to be playing as if you're playing at a higher rank. So if just because your mistake isn't punished at a lower rank doesn't mean you should continue to make the mistake.
10 seconds.
Makes sense. Okay.
Running out of time. Everyone, attack.
The only thing is that it might be hard to then distinguish what is a mistake and what isn't. But yeah, just continue to watch your positioning.
This will help.
Yeah, don't forget like awareness. Like your Orisa was sitting behind you, critical HP there.
Okay.
Just like always keep your eyes open, always keep your ears open. Listen for that. I need healing.
I've got you.
Also like just do a quick 360 once in a while. That's really a lot of awareness will come back to You don't always need to be staring at the fight. Do a quick 360. Doesn't have to take more than a second. It'll just give you a quick view, like, is there anyone behind me? Are my teammates behind me? You can also just like count, like, okay, like I have 2 teammates in front of me. Where's everyone else?
Double kill.
I have 4 teammates in front of me. Okay, that means there's 1 other person behind me. Alright, so that basically concludes our session. You have any questions about anything we went over so far?
Nope, I just want to say you're very helpful, and thank you.
Okay, no problem. I will have you a list of things that we went over, as well as whenever I upload the recording, I will get that to you.